Welcome to the Seattle Investors Club podcast with Julie Clark and Joe Bauer, where we share the nuts and bolts of real estate investing from our 20-plus years in the industry. Sit back, relax, listen, and immediately take action. Are you ready? Here we go.
Welcome to the Seattle Investors Club podcast, where we talk about the nuts and bolts of real estate investing. My name is Joe Bauer, and I'm here with my co-host, Julie Clark. Julie, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, Joe. I'm doing so good. You know what's happening out here in Seattle? You wouldn't know because you're in Cleveland, I think, right now. Is that right?
Yeah. What's going on in Seattle, though?
In Seattle, we are about to have a stretch of 10-day, 65-degree weather, which is awesome because it's the middle of October. So we're going to get to have almost spring weather for the next 10 days right before we jump into what I am excited about, ski season, ski and snowboard season.
Oh,
so
man.
Now that I say that, that doesn't really make sense, right? So if we're going to have this spring-like weather, maybe we're not going to get our snow that we need as soon as I would like to get it, because I am stoked for that this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you guys? Are you guys going to do any snowboarding this year, or are you just going to be hiking out in the woods for the full year?
You know, for the first time ever, we're going to be chasing the sun this year, which makes me a little bit sad because snowboarding is one of my favorite things ever. So I'm very jealous of you.
I have an idea.
What?
Why, when you fly home for our monthly Seattle Investors Club meeting, one of those weekends we'll sneak off.
Oh, I like it.
Sunday, and we'll hit the slopes. How about that?
I love that idea. That's fantastic. And I'm also...
Keep it a secret.
All right.
For everybody that's listening.
I'm also...
guys.
Yeah, we'll keep that a secret. I'm also stoked to hear that the weather's going to be good because I fly out tomorrow morning to come hang out.
That's right. You're not off in that storm zone, right? Nowhere near that.
No, but it looks like Seattle around here, typical Seattle. It's pretty gray and I don't know, maybe 50s, something like that.
Cleveland, you and what are the guys from Cleveland? The 80s boy band. Do you know who I'm talking about? Josh,
Nope.
If you know who I'm talking about, shout it out. 98 Degrees.
Oh no.
Nick Lachey.
Oh man, you sound like my wife.
Hey, us girls, I'm an 80s. I grew up in the 80s, and I went to high school in the late 80s, and I guess they were more like probably 90s or something like that. But yeah, I think Nick is now like a washed up host of some dance show or something like that.
Yeah.
Shout out. Actually, you know what? You know what I heard? Sorry, we're totally getting sidetracked about 98 degrees. I don't know why I'm thinking about that. But this guy, I think he is totally cashing in on the pot business. Like he's either medical marijuana guy. I think I read that somewhere. Now, I could be wrong, so I don't want to spread rumors, but Nick Lachey, 98 degrees means something different these days. It means maybe, 98 degrees. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Oh man, this could be fake news. Only time will tell.
This actually, right. This could be. You got that right. So Joe, tell us where you're at. If you guys, I think everybody who's listening, we love you, and thanks for following us every week as our tribe continues to grow with the nuts and bolts of real estate investing. It's going super awesome. We appreciate all the 5-star reviews, and I appreciate all the emails that you guys are sending me during the week in between time, because I'm here for you, and I'm here to answer all your questions. But Joe is on the road, as you guys know. You can follow him at, I'll let you say it, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, The Fantastic Life on Instagram, Facebook, fantasticlife.com. And we are just outside of Cuyahoga Falls or Cuyahoga Valley National Park near Cleveland. So we haven't actually gone to the park yet. I don't have any fun details to share, but maybe tonight we'll go and check it out a little bit. So
nice. What time's your flight tomorrow?
I have to be at the airport at 9 a.m. So
nice.
It's around 10:30, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing you. But fun adventures for Joe. And now I'm going to try a transition into fun adventures in real estate investing, and more so fun adventures investing, whatever you want to call it, in your digital media, how to generate leads and lead generations online. We have with us today Josh Schoenly. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly, Josh?
You're not, but you're not the only one that's ever
Let me
done
try
that.
again.
In fact, I could probably count on one hand the people who have said it correctly the first time they tried. So
Schoenly. I'm going to try again. Schoenly.
you're getting closer. For whatever reason, it's a long A. Schoenly. I never have a good answer as to
Schoenly.
why.
I would have never got
Other
that.
than my parents told me that's the way to pronounce it. So I go with that.
Nice.
Interesting.
Schoenly. Is that what you said?
It's like a Pennsylvania Dutch German type of thing, which still doesn't make any sense because then it should be Schoenly, but whatever.
Hey, I'm going to call you Josh.
There we go. That's perfect.
So, hey guys, so Josh is a leading authority, if not the leading authority on digital marketing for real estate professionals. He's the co-founder of the Client Alchemist, which I'm a member of and subscribe to. And that's a company whose mission is to help real estate and sales professionals learn the skills and mindset necessary to attract their ideal clients. He also happens to have a book, right? You're an author, and your book's called Attract. Is that right?
It is called Attract. 4 simple steps to engaging your ideal client with zero prospecting.
And for all of you local Seattle area people that will be joining us at the upcoming Seattle Investors Club meeting, we will be giving away some of Josh's books. Joe might make you do 100 push-ups to get one of those.
Yep, definitely.
Or something other than that. But come grab your book. I have it. I've read it myself more than once. It's totally awesome. And we're happy to have Josh here today. And you're are you in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania? Is that where you're at, Josh?
Yeah, I live just outside of Harrisburg. Yep.
I have never been to Harrisburg. Josh has never been to Seattle. So you go.
There's much more. There would be many more reasons for me to come to Seattle than there would be for you to come to Harrisburg. I can assure you.
Well, maybe Joe will be hitting up a national park in Pennsylvania somewhere. Who knows?
You never know.
Yeah, I'll definitely be cruising through.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, Josh is also I'm just reading off one of your websites here, so I'm sounding a little odd here, but he's a devoted husband, father of 4.
Yep.
I have 2, so I give him credit. Father of 4, a believer, philanthropist. Sorry, guys, tongue-tied today. Author, as we just mentioned, and freedom entrepreneur. What does that mean to you? That's something I pulled off one of your sites.
Freedom entrepreneur?
Yeah, and believer.
Yeah, so a believer is a Christ follower, and freedom entrepreneur, like to me, that means building a business around the life you want to live and lead, and not vice versa. Having your business or your job dictate to you, a life and business by design, and not vice versa.
Of course. Excellent. And of course, as a real estate investor, most people get into real estate investing either by accident and then realize, oh my God, this is great, and pursue it further. Or, we're all trying to pursue that freedom entrepreneurship. That's for sure. Yeah. So we appreciate and identify with you on that.
Cool.
So what I want to say, also kicking off today for everybody, is the goal today is twofold. It's to teach you guys all and remind you that you need to focus your mindset on conversing and not just on converting. And I know Josh has taught me and reminded me a lot about that as myself being a member of the Client Alchemist. And we're also going to talk to Josh about how to totally transform your digital marketing strategy for lead generation, because you guys need to get with the program. I mean, if you haven't figured out yet, this is the future. And if you don't jump on now, you're going to get left in the dust. At least that's my opinion.
Right on.
Yeah. And I know I have so much to learn, so much to learn. So this is Josh Schoenly. right?
There you got
And
it.
this is
Very
my
nice.
go-to guy, and I wanted to share this with all of you guys today to make it easy for you, so you don't have to decide who, what, when, where. Here it is. This is the guy, okay? And here's going to come the details for you today. So Josh, I'm going to let Joe kick us off. We kind of start off with a certain question every time. So
Okay.
Yeah, so Josh, we just want to hear more about your background, man. How you got to where you are, where did you grow up, what did you do as you were growing up, what made you go this entrepreneurial path, and all the fun details that you want to share in between.
Sure. So I grew up not far from where I live now in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour northwest of Philadelphia. And I thought from a pretty young age that I wanted to be a teacher, a health and phys ed teacher. I loved sports. I knew that I wanted to coach at a very young age. And so that was a logical path for me. And I grew up with parents who were entrepreneurial. For those of you, and I'm assuming most of the listeners here are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki and his cash flow quadrant. They were entrepreneurial, but could never get out of kind of the S quadrant. So even though they were working for themselves, their income was always tied to their time invested. And because of that, they were, they worked extremely hard and they provided a very nice life for my brother and I. But that has definitely shaped and crafted the way I think and do things over the years. Anyway, back to, coaching and teaching and so forth. I went to college at a Pennsylvania university called East Stroudsburg University, and I got a health and phys ed degree. And I ended up teaching for only about 5.5 years. And very early into that, my wife and I bought our first home. And through nothing that we did intelligently or strategically or anything along those lines, we sold that home in, 15 months or so after we purchased it for a significant increase in price. In fact, more than what was my current salary. So in 15 months, now we were living in it. It was our primary residence, and we used the proceeds to buy another residence. But it was kind of eye-opening, like, hey, we didn't really do anything here other than paint and maybe spruce it up a bit. And, we have $40,000 more than we did 15 months ago. So that kind of started to pique my interest into real estate specifically. And then ended up doing a similar thing again. We bought a bigger home, nicer home, bigger square footage and so forth. And that time in 9 or 10 months, again, sold it for like $40,000, $50,000 more than what we bought it for. So that kind of started my journey into entrepreneurship and investing, and dug into, many different teachers and gurus and so forth. I mean, Robert Kiyosaki had a huge influence on the way that I think and thought about things. And I came to the realization that, I just remember at my third or fourth year of teaching, I can't remember if we went on strike or there was threat of a strike. And I remember it was the first time I really looked at the teaching contract. And there was a grid on there that basically told me what I was worth for the rest of my teaching career. And I was like, yeah, I don't really think I like that. And even though I had a wonderful position at a fantastic school and the staff that I worked with was great, I was just like, man, I don't know that I can deal with that for the rest of my life. And so as I was still teaching, I started investing in properties other than our own primary residence. I started exploring all different types of entrepreneurial ventures. I mean, I explored network marketing and all different kinds of things, and even got my real estate license along the way. And right when we had our first son, I actually took paternity leave, which it was hilarious. My principal was like, I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know that was in the contract. But that was kind of my way of seeing if I could make a full-time, income on my own. And at that point, it was primarily as a real estate agent. I still had some properties and doing things like that, but that was kind of my soiree. And I never went back. That was, my son's going to be 12 in November, so that was almost, it's almost 12 years ago now. And through that time and during that time, I invested in a ton of properties. I wholesaled a ton of properties, rehabbed a bunch of properties with partners, and did quite well in a lot of those things. But I think got a little bit overly aggressive, thought I was smarter than I was, and got in a lot of trouble in a lot of the transactions that I had purchased and a lot of the rental properties that I had. And so it's been quite some time. Joe and I were actually chatting before this. It's been quite some time since I've been actively investing, though I have begun that process again. But in all of that, what I realized, what my real passion was marketing, specifically digital marketing online, and then taking that knowledge, that passion, and then being able to coach and teach others, which is funny because, that's what I originally went to college for. And on the surface, it seems like, well, that's not even anywhere close to, what you went to school for. But the reality is, there's a lot in there that I still get to use and leverage in how that we coach and teach others and so forth. So that was a long-winded explanation of how I got to be where I am today. But yeah, that's kind of that's what's led me here right now, talking with the two of you.
I love it. That's interesting because, most people that have had great success have a failure story,
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's almost like, I can't even, I'm sure there are some people that can, but have great success without failing, right? I have a failed startup,
Mm-hmm.
I was essentially fired from a job, before that changed my life for the better. I call that a failure of some types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no reason for me to hide anything. It's very public in the book that I published. I mean, we went through bankruptcy, was very close to losing our personal residence. Never did, thankfully. But that has certainly fueled where I am today. Not that I would encourage people to, just make a big mess and welcome failure, but it certainly has shaped the person that I am today and the way that I look at business and how I approach investing and different things. And I don't think I would be where I am today if it hadn't been for that. In fact, I'm certain that I wouldn't.
And I'll say that to everybody who's listening. If, there's a lot of people out there that could be struggling or feel like they're failing, and, you never give up. Just the point is follow your passions. If you follow your passions and pursue what you like to do consistently, you will make it. You just never give up, always keep trying.
Yeah, no question. Yep,
right?
No question.
I look for every opportunity I can to point out failure around me or in my own life to my own kids. Or I remember there's this gal who's a pro surfer, because I have two girls, and this girl got her arm bit off by a shark. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yep, they made a movie out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's still surfing, and I say, see, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure there's some negative effects on her life because of it, but it didn't stop her, right? It's bankruptcy, whatever it was happening to you guys in your lives. The point is that you just need to keep going and stay focused. That's what clearly Josh has done, and following his passion and what he likes to do. And it's paid off for him. So awesome. That's great.
I know.
Good stuff. Well, I got, actually, maybe this is a good transition here. I saw one of your blog posts, I think it said, and one of the things that you said is, this stuff takes some practice and consistent, imperfect action when it comes to digital marketing and online marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I like, I myself am a victim of, inconsistency, or, you know, maybe not having as good laser focus as I need to. Even in my coaching with client alchemists myself, right? I mean, it's working for me, but I know it could work for me even more, but I'm not as focused as I should be on it. And I can make up all my excuses. I'm sure you've had them all, but you know, I like how you said somewhere that automation and hard work collide. You know, that you don't just turn something on and that it runs by itself. There's more to it, you know, than that.
There's a whole bunch in what you just said. And so I'll try and unpack a little bit of a couple of different things. So one of our mantras is that consistent, imperfect, right action, right? Like, you know, people scream massive action, massive action, massive action. And that's right. But if you're taking massive action, but doing the wrong things, you're not going to get the right output. Right. So I'm a fan of including that right action, following a process that is proven to work and that for you in your mind makes sense, right? That you can see this thing working. And so, and the imperfect part, you know, consistent, imperfect, right action is, you know, so many times, and my mom is a perfect example of this. She drives me crazy. Like, she cannot do anything if it's not like perfect. And I'm like, it drives me nuts. And I know that it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and they struggle with it for various reasons. Some people truly are perfectionists. Some people are just scared, whatever the case may be. But if you know, I say this to my son all the time. My son will ask me, how do I do X? And my answer is always, and he knows, he will say it with me now, the fastest way to figure out how to do X is to do X. Right? Like, if you want to learn how to throw a football better, then we got to get out there and throw the football. Right? Exactly. If you want to learn how to, price properties better, you got to get out and price properties. Right? There's like, you know, now you want to learn the right ways to do it. Right? So that word right action in there, you want to learn, you know, the proper techniques for doing those things, but nothing will replace you actually doing it. Like you spending hours upon hours reading or watching videos, is great. It gives you a knowledge base to build from, but it doesn't replace taking the action.
Right.
And so, and another thing that you mentioned in there was automation and hard work colliding. There is, and maybe not so much in the real estate investor space. I don't know. But in the real estate agent space, there are companies that unfortunately and falsely promote this idea of like complete set it and forget it solutions. And the reality is, if you rely on something for full automation in a business that ultimately is a people business,
right,
you are going to miss out on the massive majority of the opportunities. Automation is wonderful and should be leveraged, but we cannot rely upon it exclusively and expect optimum results. You know, automation, a robot is not going to buy and sell a house or a piece of land. It can help with that process, identify people that might want to sell their property and people that may want to buy property, but ultimately there's going to be a relationship in between that puts all of that together. And so
that's so awesome to hear you say all that. I mean, it's totally true. I think part of the flip side of all that is you have to be a decision maker, right? I mean, that's my biggest fear with my kids is that they're not going to make decisions, that they're going to overthink stuff, right? I remember when my daughter was up at the bookshelf down in our rec room here, and she was just like, I don't know, 4. I mean, sounds a little crazy, but I think people have heard me say this before. And she would stand up there for like 15 minutes trying to pick a book, right? And I'd be like, Addison, pick one, you know? And I told our nanny at the time, I'm like, it is really important to me that, you know, that the girls get pushed to make decisions quickly. You have to be a decision maker. That's the flip side on the action, right? Action is making decisions.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And in fact, so with 4 kids, my wife and I get decision fatigue because someone's always asking this or that or this or that. And I have found that both of us will get into habits of saying, well, maybe, I'm not sure, and so. And I try to remind myself that we need to be decisive with them, because that sets a good example. Even if it's something like, can I watch this TV show? Right? It's like, just be decisive, yes or no, and then we can have a discussion about it. But maybe is like, well, then what do they do?
Right.
And it goes 100% in business, in other aspects of life. That you are, as long as you're not making life-altering decisions, you are better off making a decision and then adjusting or adapting to whatever that decision was, than staying in indecisive mode for hours or days or weeks. I mean, nothing will change in that space, right? And I made a ton of really stupid decisions over the years, but all of those decisions have led me to where I am right now, good and bad. So being okay with making a decision quickly and then, changing your mind if need be. We've changed our mind in business. We've changed our mind as parents. I've changed my mind about, what I think healthy nutrition is and the right exercise. It's okay to change your mind.
Right. I call that pivoting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're still thinking and holding, the same beliefs, from 5 or 10 years ago about X or Y or Z, you may be 5 to 10 years behind. They may still be true, but if you're not at least questioning those things that you believe to be true on a regular basis, I think you're in danger of falling behind in one, shape, form, or another.
Real estate investors are notorious for getting all this guru type education and then analysis paralysis. There's so much information that they're overloaded with, even in some of these biggest, real estate education companies and stuff. They don't even know where to start after they start, because there's too much information. So when we started Seattle Investors Club and the Nuts and Bolts of Real Estate Investing podcast, my goal was to sort of flip that coin upside down and give, it's kind of our mantra, give investors a more clear path, right? And to me, to get started, you can watch all the other stuff on the fringe, right? But you're dead if you don't have any leads. So when you're a real estate investor, when you're getting started, you simply need to do some marketing to be in contact with people. You need to connect with people, whether that be direct mail marketing or networking or actually all of that, right? Digital marketing, all of that. Don't worry about your perfect business card, your perfect logo, none of that matters, You've got to, it doesn't matter how to flip a house if you don't have a house to flip, right?
That's right.
None of that matters. Lead generation is the lifeblood. You're not really in the real estate business. You are in the marketing business as a real estate professional, as an investor, as an agent, or like me, I'm both an agent and an investor. I don't understand why everybody who wants to be an investor isn't also an agent. It makes no sense to me. So you can convert all your leads rather than just some of your leads. But, let me go into our next thing here. There's your message that I've heard over and over again is, you can build, your own list by identifying, I guess you say it like this: identify, attract, connect, and converse. So let's talk about that. So,
so that's kind of the process that's outlined in the book. It's the process that we hammer home, and it's simple in theory, a little bit harder in practice, but really not so much. So identify is getting really clear on who you want to work with. Who is your ideal client? Is it, people in a certain zip code who own 3-bedroom, 1-bath ranch houses? Is it, is it people who are investors that are looking to buy, buy and hold type of rental properties? And the formula for identifying is really, or twofold, is the identify geographically, who am I looking to work with and attract in that next step, and then demographically, what do I know about them, either the type of property that they own or some characteristics, psychographically, things of that nature, and just getting really crystal clear on who that is, and being okay with the fact that in doing so, you're also saying no to another part of, to a great majority of people in reality. And when you do that, it's actually, it allows every other step in the process to be more effective. Because so if you're
saying narrow down, we call it in real estate investor land, we call it your list, or, you want to be narrow niche. You want to be niche as possible, right? Yep. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. So we, the way we describe it is, if you try to go too broad or too brand, you'll go broke. But if you can narrow down and niche down, you get rich. And so that's that first step in the process, is identifying and being okay with narrowing down and niching down who it is that you want to attract and connect with and get into conversation with. So that's step one. Step two is, how are you going to attract people? What are you going to use? Are you going to use a postcard? Are you going to use a letter? Are you going to use a Facebook ad? And then what offer are you going to make? Is it simply to say that we're looking to buy property in your market? Is it to say that, on the buyer side, that we have wholesale priced properties available? Whatever that message is, and the medium that you're going to present that message, that's the attract part of the process. And
do you find that what am I going to say here? Well, I'll let you keep talking, because I have a question for you on this.
Yeah. So that's step two, that attracting, the medium and the message and how you're going to present that to the audience that you've identified in step one. And step three is connecting. And it may be that you're connecting by having people call or text you, or call a hotline number, or text a text code for more information. It may be that you're using a Facebook lead ad where people can, it's kind of Facebook's built-in opt-in forms. It may be to have them send you a message on Facebook. There are many different ways that you can have people connect with you, but you need to get really clear on what that is, and then make it very clear in your messaging how they can connect with you, how they can best connect with you.
Do you think maybe there's no right answer to this, that there's more importance on the message or the consistency, like a niche message, a laser focused, message instead of some more broad message? Or is it the consistency of how often you put the message out there?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there's it's a seemingly simple question, but there's a lot to unpack. Number one, the more congruent your message is to the audience that you've identified, the greater the response will be. And that can look a number of different ways. For a Facebook ad, it may mean that we specifically call out something like, do you own a home in Seattle? And we're targeting people who we already know own homes in Seattle, or are likely to own home in Seattle. Or we may get even more niched or narrowed down. Do you own a home in this particular zip code? Do you own a home in 17025? That's my zip code. And being super congruent, whether if it's by a direct mail piece, it may be doing a mail merge where you can put in, the actual property address or the county, or some combination where you can mail merge in the person's name. So the more congruent the message is with the audience, the greater the response will be. And then consistency is like a force multiplier. So if you can make your message super congruent to your audience and be consistent with the message, you're going to see exponentially greater results. You can still get results if your message isn't super congruent, but you're being consistent. But I'd rather be on the other side of that. I think
that's the boat most people are in, right?
Yeah.
That's a common boat to be in. You know what I'm hearing out there? Maybe you're hearing the same, or maybe I'm just late to the party, which is very highly likely. But one of the people that I respect and listen to is real estate mentor Sean Terry. I don't know if you know Sean
I know
Terry.
Sean. I feel like, man, I don't know if I've met him in person. I've talked to him on the phone, but I know exactly who you mean. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Flip to Freedom.
Yeah.
I love Sean Terry. I love what he has to say. His business. He's active in his business. He's not just coaching. He's doing it, and I love that about him. And he's just a normal guy, right? And his big buzzword right now is he uses this word called pre-framing. I want to make sure I'm always giving credit where credit's due, because I take these ideas and we have our own tribe, and our tribe that's growing. And, I want to make sure everybody knows who I'm listening to, and which includes yourself. But pre-framing. And so pre-framing is basically the circle of how you're, how you are connecting, I guess, or attracting might be that part, your motivated seller, whether that be from direct mail, from cold calling, from door knocking, from which I think are things that you think that you can help people avoid, right? From Facebook, from digital marketing, from, pre-framing it. So they're seeing you from all sides, maybe a display ad to them on Facebook, or a display ad to them on, AdWords or something like that, hitting them from 5 different points with the same congruent message.
Right.
And then when you show up for that appointment, you're branded, trusted, and it's almost like, you have a major step ahead right there.
Yeah, you've already built some rapport and relationship with them, even though you've never met and maybe, have only talked for a few moments.
Right. He's calling that, pre-framing. I'm sure, obviously not a concept that, the smartest guys, of course, I'm sure that. It's just a different way of saying it. But let me ask you that goes into a question of branded versus unbranded marketing. What's your take on that? Both? I mean,
our approach is to lead with unbranded, and then to brand yourself and your company after you've connected with folks. Now, that doesn't mean we have successful students and clients who lead with a branded message. We've just found that when you lead with that branded message, especially in digital marketing or digital media, it's more expensive. It is going to cost you more unless you've already done a ton of work to create brand awareness in your marketplace.
Right.
It's going to be a lot more expensive to get someone to connect with you, to become a lead, versus going unbranded. So for example, in the way we create Facebook campaigns, we recommend leading with an unbranded fan page, an unbranded Facebook page, and an unbranded message, meaning that it's not branded to me or the company. What it is, though, is it is congruent and crafted to connect with and resonate with our ideal target audience. So if we were targeting people I'll just use the town that I live in. It's Enola, Pennsylvania. I say Harrisburg because barely anybody knows Harrisburg. No one knows Enola. It's next. It's the next little town outside of Harrisburg. Anyway, so we would, if I wanted to target people in Enola, well, I would use, and I was creating a Facebook campaign, I would use a page by the name, something along the lines of Enola Homes and Living or Enola Lifestyles, something like that. And I would call out those people in my actual ad copy. Like I've already kind of said, do you own a home in Enola? Have you been thinking about selling your home in Enola? Things of that nature. When someone connects, when they've shared their contact information because they're interested in the offer that I'm making, then they get introduced to me and my company name and additional contact information, etc. That's the approach that we like. It's the same approach that I've been using as I dip my toe back into the investing waters, and I've been sending out direct mail to vacant landowners. Our company name is on the mail that's going out, but it's not about us. It's about them and the property they own and our interest in potentially purchasing that property.
Right. Do you, we're testing ourselves that because we have always led with an unbranded approach to our direct mail to everything we do, but now Seattle Investors Club is got its own brand about it now, big enough here that we are going to be doing some testing on some branded marketing. But you're right. I mean, it's only because it's been like 5 years that we've been branding Seattle Investors Club through our local real estate investment club and our podcasts and, that sort of thing. And we have a big web presence and, YouTube and everywhere like that we're actually turning that on now where we haven't used it before. And we've had pretty great success up till now with unbranded, but I'm looking forward to seeing
and there's always exceptions to the rule, right? Like I'm not a person that believes 100% that this is the right answer in every case, in every situation. We have 2 local clients who have been in the business for a very long time and have big brands. They have recognizable brands. And so in their case, it makes sense to actually have that branding in the messaging and the marketing that we're creating, because they've spent a great deal, and I mean great deal of time and money to build that brand. But for most people, that's not going to be the most effective and efficient thing, because that's the one thing.
It's not cost effective when you're getting started to do that.
Yeah. And so like I've learned a ton of lessons, a ton of things from my parents. And one of the things that they taught me, which was indirect, was they taught me to be effectively lazy. Because I saw how hard they worked for so very little that I was always looking at, is there a more efficient or effective way to do X or Y or Z? And it started out when they would give me a job on we owned a landscape and nursery, and they would give me a job to, I had to, let's say, weed the entire greenhouse, right? Or one of the greenhouses. And I didn't have a time component. It was like, I want you to go weed that greenhouse for 2 hours. It was like, go weed the greenhouse. So I would spend time thinking about, like, is there a better way I could be doing this besides just me hand picking all of these? Like, if I got a rake, could I rip them out of the ground? And so I always look at things that way. Like, is this the most effective, efficient way of doing things? Now, I still, that doesn't mean that everything that I do in life and business is always the most efficient and effective, because there's something to be said for just getting something done. But I sort of always look at it through those lenses. And for most people, that is the most, leading with an unbranded message, if you're getting started or relatively new, that's going to be the most effective and efficient way to get the end result that you want, which is getting connected with and into conversation with potential clients.
Let me ask you, do you collect phone numbers or not on your, let's say your Seattle Homes page? Are you trying to collect phone numbers, or is that because that's more quality leads?
So for years, we did not do that, or if we did, it was optional. The way we're creating campaigns now on Facebook and Instagram have made it incredibly easy to collect that data. So they've made it super easy to collect full name, primary email, and primary phone number. And so for the process that we now help people implement with our pro membership and do for people with our partner program, we're always collecting that information. And in the majority of cases, the phone number is their cell phone number. And I'm running these same kind of campaigns that I'm describing. I'm running them for the land investing that I've started to do to build my buyers list.
Right.
So I'm following that same process to build my buyers list, and every lead, it's funny, I've had 3 leads since we've been on the call here, and every one of them has full name, primary email, and their primary phone number. And some of them are already in a text conversation with me because of the automated text follow-up that I have sent out. Now notice, this is a perfect example of leveraging automation, but it can't solely replace. So we have an automated text that goes out the minute somebody signs up. But once they respond, there's no further automation. Once they respond, a real human being then, chimes in. Okay, this person is obviously a little bit more motivated, a little bit more serious. They've taken the time to respond. I'm then going to take the time to respond, specifically to how they responded, right? Because they responded to an open-ended question. So,
and then you take them off your drip at that point.
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I actually
let me walk that back. It depends on where the conversation goes.
Right.
If it's just that, hey, I just want to get the thing that I signed up for. So, for example,
right.
With this land investing, I'm offering a free weekly list of land available in blank area in
this
a particular
is through
county.
Facebook, right?
This is through Facebook and Instagram. And so if the conversation ends up being that they just want to keep getting that weekly list, well, then I'll keep them on that. But if it means if we've had a conversation about something specific they're looking for, then I would take them off the drip and I would come up with some other means. I would determine based upon the conversation we have what the next action would be.
Right.
If I've got a property coming up that might fit them, then obviously I'm going to send that. If I don't, but I know, X, Y, or Z, it kind of, the interaction, the conversation that you've had will dictate the appropriate follow-up plan.
Right. And all this is through the Client Alchemist program, right? The platform. That's what we're talking about. I know because I use it, and I watch my email, and I'm watching people respond, based on the drip campaign that I have with you through Client Alchemist, right?
Yep.
Which is all customizable, right? If I want to change it, I can change and say whatever I want, right? But yours are damn good. I'll just let you know. They're good.
Thank you. So the CRM that we recommend, which a lot of our clients use, is not included under the Client Alchemist Pro umbrella, but we've got a great relationship with them, and we load up our follow-up sequences, et cetera.
Is that Lion Desk?
It's Lion Desk.
Yeah.
And then there are many other solutions. There's no perfect CRM or email marketing platform. But what we do for any of our members is we give them our templates and our scripts and so forth. And so if they're not using something where they can easily load them up, like Lion Desk, they can certainly copy them and paste them and work them into whatever platform they're using.
Yeah. I mean, it is so easy, guys, to get started with Client Alchemist and Lion Desk if you want to use that. It's so easy that you don't have to have any experience about anything, and they'll walk you right through it. It's so worth it. Like I said, I was in my own, I'm not even trying that hard, and I just had an appointment last week with a seller in the Fremont neighborhood over here, everybody who's listening from our area, who wants to sell her property in the spring, which is zoned LR2, which is upzoning here for like townhome construction. Awesome.
Oh, nice.
In a really great neighborhood. And then turn around and buy over in the Broadview neighborhood. And you know how I got that lead? I got it right through my Client Alchemist account. I haven't even tried hard. If I worked Josh's stuff here the way it's supposed to be, it'd be absolutely insane. But I'm just saying right now, and I recommend that you do that, right? Obviously. But I just watched this email come in that said, yeah, I got your list after some basic drip email they got. When can we get together?
Yep.
And I just went, oh, that's how it works. Right? I mean, and then you take them off the list, and I met with her.
Yeah, not in every case, obviously, but
no.
It's always fun to get those emails. Hey, yes. I got the thing you sent. I need to sell my home, and oh, by the way, I need to buy another one too. What do we need to do? Or how can you help me? Or can you help me? Yep, I'd be happy to do that.
Well, every real estate professional should be doing this. Every real estate investor should be doing this. It's amazing how much money we know, because we feel the pain of what it costs to do direct mail, right?
Yeah.
And I sure do love this, idea of pre-framing and touching sellers and leads from a bunch of different points before you actually meet them in person, right?
Hey guys, Joe here. I just want to take this super quick break from the action to let you know something that we have really cool to offer you guys. As you know, marketing is the lifeblood of our real estate business, and Julie and I spend a ton of money sending out postcards and letters to people all around the Seattle area. We've partnered up with yellowletters.com to get you guys 10% off all of your marketing needs at Yellow Letters. All you have to do is go to yellowletters.com, and when you check out, use the code Seattle Investors Club, and you'll get 10% off any of your marketing needs at yellowletters.com. You can send postcards, letters, whatever it may be that yellowletters.com has, so that you can keep your marketing engine running for a little less money. So go to yellowletters.com, use the code Seattle Investors Club with no spaces, and get your marketing going today. All right, let's get back to the action.
Let me ask you, so once you get their contact information, you have their email and their phone and stuff like that, that opens itself up to a whole nother, I'll call it direct marketing aspect, right? Through Facebook or, direct marketing to these sellers based on their contact information that you can upload into Facebook, right? Is that accurate?
I'm not sure I followed 100% what you meant there.
If you have a list of somebody's, you have your sellers list or whatever, your buyers list, sellers list, or whatever it is, and you have their contact information.
Yep.
Are you able to upload that?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
100%. Yes. You can upload and create what Facebook calls a custom audience. And then you can create campaigns and specifically only run those campaigns to those folks. Now, you can't do it if you have, 5 people's, contact information. You need to have, ideally several hundred in a lead database of some kind, whether it's seller leads or buyer leads. But once you hit that, absolutely, you can do that, and you can do some really neat stuff with that, where you can really cost effectively. That's how you can start to really cost effectively brand yourself,
right?
But only do so with people that have already been pre-framed to do business with you on some level.
Right. Are you saying, that once they've communicated with you, where are we on our list of
Converse.
Hierarchy, right?
Connect or converse. Yeah.
Yeah. Once they've connected or conversed, right, and they haven't sealed the deal yet, that's a good time to hit them up with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
And so is Client Alchemist mainly focused on the Facebook platform, or is part of your program and your coaching also on Instagram now?
Well, Facebook and Instagram is pretty seamless. So, we're recommending, teaching, setting up campaigns in most cases to leverage both of those platforms. The nice thing is, because Facebook owns Instagram, it's super easy to do that. We don't talk a lot about using Instagram organically. Not that can't be effective. It's just not our wheelhouse. I am someone, again, going back to this effective laziness idea. I would rather invest a little bit of money and save myself time versus investing my time to save a little money. And so we do recommend some free strategies and some organic strategies, but it's not really the thing that we spend a lot of time on, because it's also harder to scale, free or organic strategies. It's much harder to scale those versus paid marketing strategies, whether the paid marketing is online on Facebook and Instagram, or it is through direct mail.
I always think of the organic as the cherry on top, right?
Yes,
you're going to want to pursue it, and you want to do whatever you need to do to pursue it, but that's not going to be what you rely on, right?
Correct. Yep, that's
scale.
perfect way to look at it. Absolutely.
I have to ask you, I am the least tech person that you've probably spoke to in a while. Joe being maybe the most, me being absolutely the least. That's why I could barely even figure out how to get on this damn podcast today. I was late. Sorry about that. But what is the difference? I don't know. All my dork friends and I, we want to know the difference between a boost and an ad on Facebook.
So I'll do my best to describe it in audio only. But if you create a post on your Facebook page, that's an organic post. Okay, that's a post that fans of your page can go and see. Not many will see it organically if you don't do something else, because of the way the Facebook algorithm works right now. It might be 5%, it might be 10% of them. If it's a really engaging post, it might get more than that. To boost a post, you can do right on your page. There's a little button. It says it's a little blue button in the bottom right corner of a post, and you can click that and you can boost the post. You can say, yes, I'd like to spend $5, $10, $25, whatever, and I'd like to boost this post, and I'd like it to be boosted to, which is basically just another way of saying I'd like to pay money to show this to more people. And those more people might be only people who are fans of your page. It might be fans and their friends. It can even be people that you target geographically. I want to show it to everybody within 25 miles of Seattle, whatever. It's a very quick and dirty way to give Facebook a little money to get you more exposure. We don't typically recommend boosting posts because you cannot be as strategic, and I'll use that word again, you can't be as efficient with your marketing budget as you can when you create an ad with the Ads Manager platform. There are, you have many more types of campaigns that you can run. The way that you can target your ideal audience, that audience that you create or hone in on in the first step in the process, that identify. There's just a lot more things that you can do to be much more efficient and effective with your marketing dollars.
Narrow targeting.
Right. You can target more narrowly. You can also, so you can't, our preferred method or campaign objective for generating leads right now is what Facebook describes as lead generation, basically Facebook lead ads. You cannot create a boosted post for a lead ad. Like you can only do that process in the Facebook Ads Manager. So it's one of those things where I'm not going to say that you wouldn't ever use the boost functionality, because again, I'm not a huge fan of absolutes. We do have some clients that in certain cases, it can make sense to do that. But in most cases, you're going to want to use the Ads Manager to create your ad campaigns and more effectively, spend your marketing dollars. Yeah.
Is it accurate that do you not need to have a business page in order to create an ad?
No, you do need to have a business page. Yep.
You do need to have a business
Correct.
page.
But you can create one in literally
a second.
10 seconds.
Right.
It's not a difficult process in any way, shape, or form.
Excellent. How about, I don't know if you're, maybe I'm, again, not the tech person here, so late to the party maybe, or maybe not. The bots, these bots are, there are some pretty cool real estate bots that are out there. And I know that some of them are running through Facebook, which I have mixed feelings about. You don't want to talk to somebody through Facebook if you've never connected with them on Facebook before, as you're, feels invasive, I guess I'll say. But do you hear anything, or what do you feel about?
Yeah, there's a lot more of that out there now. And I think it can be an effective strategy depending on your market. And what I mean by that is I'm in a very conservative, more old school state. I mean, really the whole state is more conservative than, say, Seattle, where people are more progressive thinking, tech savvy. And so in those cases, it can make sense. But you have to remember or keep in mind, the objective is to spark a conversation. And I think, again, a lot of these companies espousing the benefits of bots are doing so with this idea of like set it and forget it and so forth. And, I just don't believe in that. It can be a great way to get into conversations with more potential clients. And the reason is there's less friction. It's easy for someone, if they're scrolling their news feed, to click a button that says send message and for them to send a message in Facebook without ever leaving Facebook. That's not very invasive for them versus clicking to a landing page and filling out information, things of that nature create a little bit more friction. So do I think they have merit? Yes. Do I believe that everybody should be using them? No. And do I believe that everybody should be using them in the way that a lot of companies are espousing? No, as well. You can use them to start conversations. Like I would recommend using them the way we use our follow-up sequences by email and text, which is to get them to respond. And then once they've responded, then you step in and continue that conversation.
Right.
And determine, number one, if you can help them, A, and if so, how you can best help or serve them.
Right.
If the answer to number one is yes, because the reality is a lot of people that respond to whatever your messaging is, you can't help them, either because of their mindset or their situation or whatever. And the sooner you can make a decision on that and help them make a decision on that, the better for everybody. And then if you can help them, it's just about determining how you can best help them.
Right. What do you think is the hardest one? You have identify, attract, connect, converse. Which one of those?
Converse for sure.
Converse, you think,
and not because
it's attract seems to be, but you're like, you're an attract expert. This is why you guys want to sign up with the Client Alchemist, because he's going to teach you how to attract. So to me, converse, it's easy for me.
But that's why you're successful. And so, it's not that one is hard. I think most people make it harder or more intimidating than it has to be. When a real live person, when you identify, attract, and connect with a real live person and they respond, they want to have a conversation with you. And I think some people, they get fearful, or they don't want to say the wrong thing, or, they're worried about, well, what if the person says this, or what if the person says that? And it keeps them from getting into those conversations or responding to the conversations that have already been sparked. Now, I can understand for someone who doesn't have experience, they may believe that, attracting and connecting are going to be the hard points. And I can say that if you haven't done it before, if you've never generated leads online or offline, that's probably accurate. But what you'll find is that in the long term, that is the easy part. There are very specific tactics that are proven to work over time. The harder part, at least what I've seen from years of experience, is that conversation piece. And more business is lost through that than is ever won through that, either from the, poor expectations, poor mindset, stinking thinking, analysis paralysis, whatever the case may be, and just thinking that it's harder than it is. If a real live person responds and connects with you, you know what they responded to, and your job is just to ask them, to follow up with them and ask them questions so that you can determine if you can help them and how you can help them.
Do you guys, in the Client Alchemist program, do you guys help teach people how to converse?
Absolutely. And that has been a piece of the puzzle that we have, especially in the last year, gotten a lot more, become a lot more intentional about helping that piece, because we've gotten the first 3 steps in the process, we've gotten so honed in on that really is the next stumbling block.
Right.
And so we've been really intentional about outlining our best practices, but more importantly, outlining the best practices of the rock stars in our community, the people that are just absolutely crushing it. And asking them and documenting what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're saying it, through what medium, through email, through text, through phone, how they're communicating to get into more conversations so that they can serve more clients.
I mean, guys, I'm sitting here, I have butterflies in my stomach. I'm so excited about all this, that this resource is being made available and shown to you guys and talked about here today. It's like absolutely necessary. It's like when they tell you to layer your lists, right? Layer your lists of, more than one motivation. You got to layer your marketing. This is such a good layer on top of all the real estate guru education that you guys are out there listening to. Who better to learn marketing from is maybe not a real estate guru, right? They're talking about something, very specific there. I think this is such a good layer on top of whatever you're doing. I know it's going to be a big focus for us going forward. It has been for me, and I can't wait to jump in further into this, and excited for you guys to talk shop with me offline about Client Alchemist and what experiences you guys are going to have. But let me ask you, is Craigslist, I'm going to shift gears on you here so we don't run out of time. Is Craigslist still a viable, is there anything to do about Craigslist more?
Hilarious that you're asking me this. So when I first started training and coaching, Craigslist was the medium that I was teaching people how to leverage. And in fact, that's where I first started investing. Well, maybe not very first, but once I started to get serious about the business, that's the platform that I used to build my buyers database and even to identify sellers. And for years, it was fantastic. And then as Facebook's ad platform evolved and became more and more robust, we just sort of transitioned to that platform because there was a time where Craigslist was just a big headache. I mean, everything got flagged and ghosted and couldn't keep ads live. And then, everybody and their mom was posting on there. So there was literally hundreds of postings a day. We just yesterday, for our Client Alchemist Pro members, we have weekly office hours. And just yesterday, we had someone on sharing what they're doing on Craigslist right now to generate all the business that they can handle. For that, now they're their real estate agent and they're in the Las Vegas area. But what it's like fashion, right? What's old can become new,
right?
Because so many people have stopped using the platform. It's become an opportunity again. We believe. And you can follow the best practices that we kind of outline and do so, but you're doing so in creating, classified style ads. There are limitations to it. It does involve time. Your ads have a shelf life, let's say, but if you do it strategically and you create a system around doing it, I do think that it is still a very real and very viable opportunity for especially generating buyer interest when you've got properties to sell. I think there's probably some opportunities on the sales side or the seller side, but the bigger opportunity to me would be the buyer side.
Right. Awesome. That is, I wasn't sure. I was suspecting. I hear a little trickle here or there, but interesting. Well, again, guys, those are things that Josh is going to be sharing through his platform. I encourage y'all to get involved in that. Joe has some technical questions just here at the end here that we want to. It's like going to the doctor and getting free advice. Like when I go to my daughter's doctor appointment, I'm like, I have this bump on my arm here. So this is
you have to schedule an appointment, and we're going to charge you even for asking that question. That's but anyway.
So Joe, geek out, have fun.
Yeah. So I guess right at first, the first question that I have is maybe people should all just jump in and get your product and then they won't need to have these questions. But for those people that may or may not or whatever, what is the ad spend that you're usually looking at when people are getting started?
So my answer is going to be one that everyone will hate, but it depends. It depends on your market. It depends on how many transactions you're trying to do a month. It depends on a ton of factors. We have people that are for them, getting tremendous results from $50 to $100 ad spend per month. We have people that have loftier goals, or maybe have teams or small brokerages that are spending several hundred to sometimes even $500 to $700 per month. In higher priced, more competitive markets, it's going to be more expensive to generate leads than in more rural areas, more or less densely populated areas where the average home price is less, right? I mean, some of that is just basic economics, but sometimes folks don't understand and have poor expectations about that. But it's going to be more costly in Seattle to generate leads than in one of the rural counties that borders the county that I live in. I mean,
Sure.
it's just a
When
lot.
you say expensive, is that like $1,000 a month or $4,000 a month?
Well, again, I think it depends. I mean, $1,000 per month. I don't know many people spending $1,000 per month on ads, mainly because of two things. One, it's really hard to. I mean, you would have to have a business that is able to or already scaled up as far as staff, because you're going to create massive amounts of opportunities. But no, so more expensive would be the cost per lead. And so that trickles down to, okay, how many leads do I need? Do I want 1 lead a day? Do I want 5 leads a day? And just understanding your goals and so forth, and reverse engineering from there. Leads in Seattle area, they may cost $5 to $10 per lead. We have people in some markets, and even right now, one of my own personal campaigns, I'm getting leads for like 50 cents a lead, full name, email, and phone number. But that's
basically you guys need to just do it and then learn what your numbers are in your area and reverse engineer back into what the budget is that you are looking to achieve.
The most effective way to figure out how to do anything is to just do it, and
just
then
do it.
You'll get some data, you'll get some feedback, and then you can make tweaks and adjustments based upon the feedback that you get from the market.
Absolutely. Have you found that there's any kind of like universal ad message that you use that works every time, or has this become a trial and error thing, or what have you found with that?
Yeah, I would say a little trial and error. The key pieces that we have in most of our campaigns are, number one, super congruent to the target area, whether it be the town, the city, or the zip code. So having that in your ad copy, specifically saying, do you own a home in Enola, whatever the case may be. The types of offers that we're finding to be most effective for connecting with leads is some kind of free list, a free weekly list of land for sale in blank area, a free weekly list of foreclosures available, a free weekly list of multifamily properties, a free weekly list of all the recently sold properties. Things of that nature are what we rely on most regularly as part of what we would call like buyer leads on demand or seller leads on demand, campaigns that are evergreen, that we can turn on and off like a faucet. Those are the types of offers that we're making with those.
And what kind of offer would that be for a seller lead?
So for seller leads, I will say that Facebook and Instagram is not going to be the best place for you to find super motivated sellers. Okay. It's just not. However, if you're like Julie, where you're looking for retail sellers, or maybe your investing approach doesn't rely on, the super motivated and wholesale type sellers, the offer that we typically recommend is the free weekly list of just sold properties. So for them to get a free weekly list of all the recently sold properties in their neighborhood, because if they're curious about that, they're probably thinking about selling. They might be thinking about refinancing or some other thing, but in most cases, they're at least on some level thinking about selling, and that's the best way for us to connect with them, get into a conversation to find out, what they're thinking. Are they thinking about selling? Were they thinking about refinancing? Were they just curious? And some people are just curious, and that's fine.
This is a vote for everybody who's an investor, in my opinion, just purely and solely If you don't want, just because you have a real estate license doesn't mean you need to go out and do open houses and sell homes and all that stuff. But you know what it does? It gives you access to information that you need that you can share. Because what happens is if you generate, this is my experience, you generate buyer leads. Well, guess what? A lot of those buyer leads have to sell
Yes.
before they buy,
100%,
right?
100%.
And if you're an investor and an agent, which is one of my big topics, and actually a coaching program, Josh, that Joe and I are rolling out. So maybe we can talk to you more about that on some cross marketing or something like that. But if you're going to spend all this money marketing as a real estate investor, you dang should get your real estate license. You guys have heard me say it 100 times. And I am sure there are messages that can be created specifically for real estate investors. I don't know if you have anything within your system at Client Alchemist that is specifically geared towards real estate investors, or maybe I'd like to raise my hand and say, if you don't, I would love to, Joe and I mastermind with you and maybe, think about what those messages might be and put our heads together. Do you guys have anything like that, or is it more for agents?
I mean, it really is just slight tweaks that you
right?
make in the wording of the offers to call out, to pre-frame. I'll keep using that word, to pre-frame the right people.
Right.
So, and it can be as simple as, are you thinking about investing in blank area? Would you like to get a free weekly list of all the multifamily properties available for sale, or all the wholesale priced properties available for sale, or all the foreclosure? So it's really just a matter of small tweaks and calling out who that ideal person is that you're trying to get to respond.
Exactly. And we all need buyers lists. How about wholesaling, guys, where you create a buyers list of retail buyers that you can wholesale your off-market leads to? Yeah. The spreads are so much bigger.
Yep.
Don't forget about buyer leads. I think people get so focused on seller leads, we forget how important buyer leads are, right? If you want to talk about how you wholesale an off-market lead to a retail buyer, give me a shout at julie@seattleinvestorsclub.com, because there's some details within your offer. You need to leave room maybe for them to get some financing and things like that. But those are just small tweaks on a contract that I can tell you guys how to do that.
It's funny you mentioned that. I think it was the very first video I ever put on YouTube. This is like 2006 or 2007, is me espousing the idea that your most valuable asset in real estate as a real estate professional is your buyer's list, because you can reverse engineer transactions. You can then be a matchmaker.
And having real estate agents on your list. Mm-hmm. Even running in, you can easily get a list of real estate agents. You want to engage with them or whatever, but boy, having the real estate agents on your list, don't overlook that. Little sidetrack there, but don't overlook that. So having buyers lists, if you're doing we also recommend that this is a layer on top, guys. You got to have all your digital marketing and your online marketing. Everybody focuses on direct mail marketing, which is a awesome way to generate seller leads, right? But think about how many of those leads are not perfect for wholesaling, but they are perfect. They're off by like 20 grand. Retail buyer generated right off of Facebook. So easy. Put those two together, right?
For sure.
We'll talk more about teaching you guys how to do that contract-wise and stuff. But keep going, Joe.
Yeah, so I just have one more question. I don't want to hold you too long, Josh. Cool. Maybe we can have you on again sometime and talk some really geeky stuff here. But images. How do you feel about images?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So whether on Facebook or, since we brought up Craigslist, that it cannot be overstated how important images are. And I can't even believe sometimes some of the images that I see, because one of the things that we offer our members is free marketing critiques. And I am shocked and appalled at how many times I see just really poor images that aren't high resolution, they're poor quality, whether it be, a retail listing and it's a picture of a kitchen and the kitchen's not even like cleaned up, things like that. So super high quality, super high resolution, eye-catching, scroll-stopping type of images that will get the person to stop long enough to read your message so that they can then connect with you, so that they can respond. So it cannot be overstated. When we're making the kind of offers that we talked about a little bit, like, for example, a seller offer, another type of image, which, again, needs to be high quality, high res, is images of local signs or landmarks or marquees. So, for example, if I'll just use Enola again, the town I live in. A great image would be, I'll go to the the rec center or the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the police department, but
like the monument sign of the town.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to describe. And I would take a great picture of that on a day with a high blue sky, where it would just jump off the page, where the person that I'm trying to attract and connect with, they would immediately recognize that and say, "Oh, this must be for me." This is obviously for me, because I live in Enola and I know that sign. Those kinds of things are critical. And again, the image is the first thing the person's going to see. So it's got to be good enough to get them to stop to read your message. At least on Facebook, it's not, well, now the way Craigslist listings are promoted, the images are the first thing that they see there too. So cannot be overstated the importance of images. You cannot just throw up any old image and hope for the best. If so, you're throwing away your money or your time or both.
Interesting. So are you using, let's say you try a bunch of images, you find the image that works the best, and then you reuse that image over and over again?
If it warrants it, yes. Now, obviously, if we were promoting a specific property, then not. But,
right.
But for the type of what we call buyer lead on demand or seller lead on demand, those types of campaigns, the ones that we can kind of turn on and off like a faucet.
Yeah. If
something's working, yeah, we'll just roll with it as long as it's working. It's working if your cost per lead or your lead flow is consistent. Once you see some red flags there, you were getting 2 leads a day, now you're getting 1, sometimes none. It might be time to take a look at that and try something different. Mm-hmm. But as long as it's working, I just roll with it.
Cool.
Don't if it's not fixed, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
There you go.
That phrase. Yeah.
Cool. Well, just last question for us marketing geeks out there. Do you have any kind of resources or books on marketing or digital marketing that you're like, man, this is something that you guys should read?
Oh, man.
Besides his book.
Yeah.
That is a great question. I don't know that I have a good answer, because I would say that specific to digital marketing, most of what I have and continue to consume is more online based type of stuff. Oh, you know what? I will give a shout out. Russell Brunson has a couple of great books.
Yeah.
What was the there's .com secrets, and there's expert secrets, and I think he even has another one. All of them are great. Yeah, those are good ones for sure.
I have one geek tech question that'll wrap it up. What type of, well, I have 2 actually. If you had more than one Facebook page when we're talking about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can all of those different pages plug into the one LionDesk CRM?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you could have multiple sites.
We have hundreds, and we have one LionDesk account.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then do you have is there like an analytics? How does the analytics work? I don't know. That's maybe Joe, do you have all that information already? But we want to make sure. Facebook analytics, is there something special there? Or if you're uploading, like we said, where you want to do the hyper targeting and you upload a contact list to do direct ads to people. Is there an analytics plugin for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, I don't. What are you looking to analyze? I guess.
Joe, maybe you need to ask the question.
I think basically she's asking like, what are you looking for in your tracking, and I think it was maybe like, are you looking for tracking number of phone numbers that you get or email addresses or, opt-ins in some way?
Facebook gives you all kinds of data, right? But the most important data is how much did I spend on this campaign and how many leads did I get?
Right. No different than direct mail.
Yeah, it really is that simple. Now, if something seems off, I spent $50 and I got one lead, that's when you want to look at the data a little bit more closely. But in most cases, it's not the data that will give you the answer. It's the image or the ad copy that was the problem. In most cases, if a campaign sort of quote unquote fails, that is part of it. That is, it's part art and part science, which is part of the reason why we offer critiques for our members, because there are things you can look for, but there's no like perfect way. And I've just done it long enough. I'm usually the one that does them because I like it. And I'm usually the one that's looking at it. And it's, there are usually some similarities, but a lot of times it takes a little bit more art than science to kind of figure out why something didn't work the way you might have hoped it would or could. I know that wasn't a great answer for you. We just, the most important thing to look at though is that cost per lead. How much did I spend? How many leads did I get? And if it seems out of the ordinary, if it's exorbitantly higher than other campaigns, then start digging deeper. What did I do differently? Was my messaging not congruent? Was my image not as good, or things of that nature?
Excellent.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, hey, we love this. We want to know where's the best place for people to get involved with Client Alchemist. They just go to clientalchemist.com, or tell us all the details on how we can get people more involved with your program.
Yeah, so you can go to clientalchemist.com. We offer a free PDF copy of the book there, and that kind of that'll get people into our community, into our fold, and then we have some additional free trainings that folks can go through. And for those who are just interested and want to check out our pro membership, they can go to clientalchemist.com/pro. clientalchemist.com/PRO, and you'll see a wall of videos and success stories, and et cetera, of folks that have had great experience with us. And then there's buttons there where you can get more information about what's included and how to enroll, et cetera.
Awesome. I'm excited. And all this can be done by a teammate, right? You don't need to have the smartest person, the lead person on a team handling all this. This can all be handled by...
We have folks that their assistant is the lead person,
totally.
Who, or small teams where one person is the marketing head. We're very flexible as far as that.
A thing that can be passed off very easily.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Right. So when somebody joins Client Alchemist, are they joining as an individual, or can there be, I guess that makes sense, right? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we offer like one login, and, we sort of, we're not a huge fan of, one login being shared by 5 people, let's say.
Right. No.
But we understand, if it's you and a partner, or you and a small team, we're okay with that. We have some arrangements where it's larger teams where we do a discounted rate for multiple licenses, quote unquote. But typically it's one person or a couple or a partner.
Right. And you really only need one person on your team managing this anyway.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
Right.
That's
the beauty of it. That's the point. So excellent. Well, maybe we'll circle up with you sometime again soon and have some success stories that we can share. If not, share our own, right? I know I'm already having some success myself with it. So get on it, guys, and let's wrap it up, Joe.
Cool. Well, that has been awesome. And if you guys want to find the show notes for this podcast, you can do so at seattleinvestorsclub.com/53. That's seattleinvestorsclub.com/53. And remember that we love iTunes reviews. So please head over to seattleinvestorsclub.com/iTunes. Give us a review. Every 5-star review that we get helps us to get our message out to more people. And we'd love to hear from you if you ever do that, so we can give you a digital high five or maybe a high five in person.
Good stuff. Sun's out, guns out.
Oh, yeah?
Out, that's for
nice.
Yeah. It's about 12:40 p.m. here in Seattle, and it is beautiful. So you fellas enjoy your East Coast. And this West Coast gal is going to head out the door with our sidekick, Buddy, for a little fresh air.
Nice. Well, thank you both. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Looking forward to meet you in person someday, hopefully. Do you guys have do you guys have like events or anything, or is it all online?
We have in the past. We haven't done one in quite some time.
Okay.
It may be something we explore again in the future. Kind of goes with the freedom entrepreneur thing.
Exactly.
They're a lot of work and so forth, but it's definitely something we we'll consider in the future again.
Awesome. All right, fellas.
Cool.
Have a good one. Safe travels, Joe, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Seattle Investors Club podcast. If you have questions that you'd like to have answered on the show, shoot us an email at info@seattleinvestorsclub.com. Now go out, take that action, and build that real estate business. Thanks for listening.